Fwrd Axis News, Future and Balance.
Welcome to Fwrd Axis Live, a Fwrd Axis news production, bringing you the latest stories in the worlds of news, sports, politics, and entertainment. Fwrd Axis News, Future and Balance.
Welcome to Fwrd Axis Live. I'm your host, Stephen Michael.
And I'm Ty Jäger. Sorry, I forgot my cue. I was the one that set this cue up, and I failed. Sorry, Michael. What do we got today?
He just called me Michael. That's my middle name. Anyway, we're back here. We are talking more Big Brother and Sunday's episode. Now today is a Monday, so we're going to be referencing as yesterday because we both saw it yesterday, but we just had some scheduling conflicts. But we are here back reporting it for you guys. Ty, I know you were a little under the weather yesterday. How are you?
I'm doing good. I had a long weekend of partying. I'm just going to say it. I was exhausted. 2 straight nights of just hanging out with friends and just drinking a little too much. It's Sunday. I needed a recovery, so I apologize. I had a nice recovery day, and I had a nice day watching Big Brother. So I was able to enjoy that.
There we go. I like how you said partying because there's been some party going on in the house this week, which we will get to at the end of our week in our Thursday show or in our Thursday episode or recap. But right now, we're going to talk about Sunday's episode. And the last time we left you guys, we were talking about that HOH competition, the classic wall comp. Ty, I know if you guys listen, you know Ty's not a big fan of the classic competitions anymore.
It was more of like they're making it a whole spectacle. Like you can play the game. I think the wall comps. I love endurance comps, but it's like it's the legendary wall comp. It's like you don't need to sell it that hard. Come on, calm down.
Yeah. You should be the new narrator for Big Brother because that was pretty cool.
See, I can do the narrator voice. I love it.
I'm Big Brother. All right. Anyways,
damn, I fucked that one up. I went too hard. I went too high because again, I mess with that voice because because the way that he says Big Brother now is just him going way over the top and having fun with it.
And he knows it too. He knows he gets a kick out of it. And so before we get into the recap, I got to hear you do the voice. You knew that was coming.
All right. Well, I need to build up to it. I want to make sure I get this right and not do what I did a minute ago. I'll just say it randomly at one point.
All right. So we'll get to the recap. And no, here's the thing. At the end of the show, I want you to say it. We say, I'll say something, and you close it out to say it at the end. All right, let's see if we can make it happen, folks.
Okay. All right. Let's get into this. We've already BS too much.
Yeah, let's get into it. All right. So we as I said, we left you guys off with talking about the epic wall comp that may not be so epic because in reality it only lasted like 45 minutes. So we're going to get to that. So let's talk about that wall comp first, Ty. And as wall comps go, wasn't bad. It was conspiracy theorist themed competition with the movie.
I like the theme. The theme was they had a lot of fun with the theme.
Yeah, they did. And I mean the Earth being flat theme, as I joked in our Thursday show recap, I was like, Kyrie Irving would love this if he was in the house because he apparently is a flat earther. So cool. But yeah, so we get to the episode, and as we saw Jasmine in the diary room, she was like, this competition ain't for me. So she just jumped off. And that's my impression of Jasmine, but apparently turned it as a better one because she didn't. Okay, let's be real. She did not fall. She jumped off. Okay.
And maybe she thought she was safe because it was her birthday weekend, as we keep getting reminded. I just saw your eyes roll as soon as I said birthday, that was what I was hoping for.
Yep.
No, maybe she thought she was safe. She didn't want to go. Like, let's be honest. Big Brother went all out on punishing these house guests with this endurance comp in terms of how much they sprayed on them, how much they threw at them, how much Bigfoot hair they dropped on them, which was probably the worst of all of them. And the look that Jasmine had whenever they did the first splash of like green goo, that kind of told me, it's like, yeah, I don't blame her for dropping early, and I can understand that.
Yeah. At the same time, this is not my competition. Somebody jump off like a wildebeest in the hay, or whatever the hell she said. I don't know. And then you got Turner's like, you know what? this is going to cut to Jasmine saying some weird crap, and he was right about that. So even and that's the thing. I want to touch on this right now because I did not touch on it last time. Jasmine, I don't know if you know this, Ty. She practices those things that she says in the diary room.
So, like, if you watch the live feeds, you can tell that she still has like that southern twang to her, but it's not as dominant as it is in the diary room. Mm-hmm. She very much plays it up within the diary room for show. Again, we have said this before, the diary room is a very produced aspect of the show. Yeah. And man, she goes all out. And maybe production likes that because they can throw some fake BS out there that they can have fun with. Now, again, they love adding that scoot sound effect every damn week. And honestly, I'm not tired of it. I still love it because production is still picking fun at it. But it's like, some people play it up, and you can tell when they have their fake voice going on. Michael is guilty of that. As if you've been watching this show long enough, you can kind of pick up on their fake scripted voices. Michael has an obvious one. Brittany kind of has an obvious one. Turner obviously has one, but he also still plays it real in the diary room. Taylor she does have her scripted voice, but it's much more of her own tune, and it still sounds natural. Joseph has been the one that's kind of sounded the most like genuine in the diary room. That you can't really tell if he's having something scripted or not.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, with all this, it's just weird. But she's the worst of all. Let's be honest. Of all of them,
she is the absolute worst with the scripted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys are listening to us wherever you get your podcast. You won't be able to see me do this, but like I'm putting my hand like over the top. It goes way over your head sometimes because that is just how bad it is. Like, it was last Wednesday. I was watching the feeds last Wednesday before the night before the eviction, before Daniel's eviction. And she was telling, I think it was Indy or Alyssa, which one sounds better? Julie, you're prettier than or which one sounds better? And she had to get voted which one sounded better so she would say it. And I'm thinking, it's not genuine, it's not funny. I mean, it's just bad. It's not fun. And we see this every year. They always overact and overdo it, and it's just not fun. So that's our Jasmine bit for the episode. We're gonna have one every episode apparently because she's just that annoying. Wait until we recap Wednesday's episode. You know, the birthday thing is gonna be a massive part of it. And we're gonna have to talk about. Yeah, because some stuff happened over the course of yesterday and today regarding her birthday with Turner. I don't know if you saw it or not, but we'll touch on that.
Now, all right. I will say our Monday episode, it's usually scheduled for Monday, so this one's coming out a little day late. This is usually our spoiler show. We're going to talk about everything that's happened up to this point, up to the veto ceremony, because that's how this one goes. Yeah. On our Thursday night episodes that we recorded, those are not going to be spoiler. We're not going to spoil it as well. We probably can't spoil it too much outside of after the eviction, but if you are not ready for spoilers, might not be the episode for you. I'm just letting y'all be aware. So spoilers will happen this episode. If you don't want to get spoiled, this might be your time back up. But check back in with us on Thursday, Friday. But if you want spoilers, we got you covered.
Yeah, exactly. So, but on that note, let's just say it. Then what happened? Let's just say what happened, which is the veto meeting to this point has happened in real time. And before everything that happened with the veto and everything like that, it is Jasmine's birthday. I don't know if you knew that, but it is Jasmine's birthday. So she wanted it to, apparently her and her dad have the same birthday, which if that is true, I'm not denying that, but if it's true, that's cool. I have no problem with that. Her dad did pass away, as we all know. I believe she said either 3 or 6 months ago. It's pretty recent. And I mean, I understand it's a very sentimental time for her. Now, before I go and tell this story, did you see what happened with Turner and Jasmine and the whole balloon thing?
No. All right. So I saw that something with a balloon happened, and I missed it.
Okay.
And then I saw him talking with Jasmine about it, and I still didn't get the context. So please fill me in with this balloon. I need to know.
You should definitely flash back to this conversation because it was funny as hell, and then watch Turner's retell of it. It's so funny. But basically, so long story short, she wanted to release a balloon to the sky to honor her dad on her birthday. And she was like, I think production I don't want any type of punishments, or I don't want to be in a unitard for the veto because it's my birthday week. Okay, I am 30 years old. My birthday is going to be next month. I'm not going to spend a whole week celebrating my birthday. It's one day and that's it. Okay, but that's beside the point.
Like at most, you maybe plan a party that you're gonna have with your friends, like a gathering that you're gonna have.
Yeah, my birthday, for example, falls on a Wednesday. I'm probably going to celebrate with my friends on a Friday or Saturday. That's normal. I'm not going to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No, that's just weird. But anyways, so she wanted to do her birthday thing with the balloon to celebrate her dad. Turner comes up after listening to this. Turner comes up and just casually, do you think that's a good idea?
And I can just imagine the look that he's giving.
Yeah, and she looks at him like the death stare from hell. And why would you say that? And then Turner goes, well, I don't know if it's... Oh my god, okay. He goes, I don't know if it's a good idea to release plastic into the air in California. If you're environmentally friendly, I understand. Like, that's okay. That's a valid concern. Smog and all that crap. But she took it as offense that you are casting doubt on her birthday. And Turner was like, he makes it sound like I wish that she wasn't born because I wasn't mentioning that at all.
And like knowing like Turner, that he seems to be pretty much he seems like one of those types of guys where it's like he is very much environmentally aware. Like he makes rugs. He makes really good looking rugs, by the way. But it's like while we know that Turner can be a menace at times in terms of what his just joking and messing with Jasmine, I would legitimately think that he was not trying to mess with her here.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure the episode is gonna show it, so we can see it in more context, like the diary room stuff and everything like that, on Wednesdays or Thursdays episode, because it is a 2-hour episode this Thursday, so I'm sure we're gonna see some form of that. But just to leave that here for now. But he did apologize, and she still wants him out, so it's a whole thing. But anyway, back to this HOH competition.
Well, at least the feeling is mutual between the two.
True, and I mean, I would love to see Jasmine and Turner on the same team whenever they could split up. Could you just imagine? He wants to get away from her so bad. Oh, no. But back to this HOH comp, as I keep saying. So as we said, Jasmine fell before the broadcast even ended on Thursday, which is, I'm surprised she made it past the commercial. So there's that. And then we see more people falling. So Brittany, Terrence, I mean, eventually they all fall. And it comes down to Kyle and Taylor. And at that point, so you and I were watching the live feed as we were recording the recap, and we're both excited to see Taylor win because she does end up winning. But it's what happens after she wins that kind of starts everything in motion for this week. She wins. Remember, she's all covered in goop and everything like that, so she can't really see. And so she says, "Can I jump off?" And they're like, "Yeah, jump off, you won." She starts crying. Kyle hugs her. And then you hear Alyssa, and you see Alyssa say, "Okay, that's enough. That's enough." Like, why you hug? And then you see in the diary room Kyle being like, or Alyssa being like, "Hey, Kyle, like, I wish that was me you were hugging." If you only knew it was coming like 2 days later.
So, okay. Let me talk about that real quick, because we were aware of that comment from the feeds.
Yes.
And I'm glad that production did put it in the show. What I don't exactly like is that it didn't get time to breathe, because she makes the comment and then almost directly after, not even like a second, it's her in the diary room kind of backtracking a bit, kind of defending herself and putting more of a positive light on it. And I think the people I think that just saw the comment alone and then listened, they will still take the comment for what it was worth at that time. But I think there is certainly some misdirection going on with that edit, and it might not be intentional, but because like we obviously know that there was not a lot in this episode, this latest episode, because how long was that recap? That was like almost a 4-minute recap, and it's like once I saw that was keep going, I was like, yeah, they didn't have a lot of content to throw in this one.
Yeah.
So it's just a weird edit.
That's our show's gonna be short tonight too. It's
just the edit itself. I don't think it it obviously didn't throw it under the rug, but it didn't give it the breathing space for people to really take in what she said and then absorb what her comment was. It was just like back to back. You didn't have time to breathe and you didn't have time to really take it in.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true. It really did. But as I said, it does set up what's coming this week. Taylor's reign and everything, which we're going to get to tonight. And then Thursday's episode. Thursday's episode will be a big one for us because it's a 2-hour episode, and we're going to have to recap a huge majority of that.
And we already speculated. If you listen to our last episode for our speculation of what this twist could possibly end up being.
Yeah, we're not going to repeat it here. If you guys want to know what we think is going to come with this twist, go listen to our last podcast. It's currently up wherever you get your podcasts. So, yeah, I mean, that's what. So it kind of sets up what happens. So Taylor wins. Obviously, she's ecstatic. She's in the dining room celebrating and says, feel her the wrath of Taylor, so to speak. And everyone's happy. Everyone except Jasmine, Indy, Alyssa, and Kyle. And Kyle made it very... And again, this starts off, and I'm glad they left it in the show. This starts off this week, I think, seeing the division within the leftovers. Because while they were still on the wall, Kyle says, I don't know. I trust Taylor. She's in my alliance, but I don't know where she stands with Alyssa. And my goal is to protect Alyssa. Versus my goal is to keep my alliance safe and do what my alliance wants. So you can already see the divide already forming there. So whenever we get in the diary room, we see Taylor happy, celebrating. The girls are not happy because they know they don't have a good relationship with her. But we see in the DR, Taylor saying, I don't care how Jasmine has treated me. I'm not putting a black woman up. I came into this house not wanting to put a black woman up. Monty reiterates that point in a conversation with Joseph and Turner. Now, before we get to Nicole,
Taylor.
She left Taylor, yeah. Names
So to be honest, I've done the same mistake. I kept switching up Taylor and Nicole. I will be honest.
Yes, and they're festy besties, so it got to that point. But so with Nicole, see, they got me doing it again. With Taylor, before we get to her nominations process, which was a chaotic one to say the least, and I had a lot to say on Twitter if you guys follow me, what did you make of her reasoning of not nominating Jasmine, her reasoning for not going after a black woman?
It's rare to see morals in the Big Brother house. I think that is something that I don't think we see too often, at least with players that get this far into the game. We are kin to see cutthroat players and take all the risks, don't care about the personality, what's going to do emotionally wise, and they are playing straight up to win. Look at Dan Geasley. Look at Vanessa from whenever she pretty much cut out what's his name, Austin, and his bare feet and sent him out because that was best for her game. Yes, they were best friends, but she was playing for her game. We've seen those cutthroat type people, and I think Taylor still has some cutthroatness in her, but she still has morals to what she wants to do. And I don't fault her for that. And luckily, now if it was only down to Jasmine being like the only player on that side that was left, and that was the only hurdle, then I would be questioning it. But there's obviously other targets. And from Terrence to Indy to Alyssa, who honestly was going to be the original target, I can understand why she has her morals, and I will not fault her for having those, especially for what we were talking about in our space of we've seen people of color kind of be targeted before, and she did not want to put another black woman up on the block, and I don't blame her for having that moral. And could that break her game at some point? I think so, but I think by the time you get that deep into the game, I think she will let her morals go and decide I need to go for the game. But for right now, I don't fault her for it at all, especially since there were other options.
Yeah, okay, so I'm split on this. And for Ty, you referenced our spaces. For those of you who have not heard it yet, go to our Twitter space. And we did Ty and I did a 45-minute Twitter space where we discussed the current situation going on in the house with Kyle and him allegedly attempting to divide the house by race. And our article, currently on FwrdAxis.com, has made Google Trends. It's been retweeted by podcast hosts, by celebrities, by former Big Brother house guests. So go on there, check it out, let us know what you think, and come back here.
And we'll lightly address it in this episode, but if you're thinking that we did not talk nearly as much about it. It's because we talked almost an hour about it already. But there are certainly some things that we do need to recap. But just be aware if we don't talk about it as deeply in this episode, that's kind of why.
Yeah, so it is. We're currently making that into a separate podcast as well, so it will be posted in the next day or so. So go ahead and listen to that if you haven't already, and then come back here and listen to this recap. But getting back to Taylor, I want to call her Tiffany again for some reason. But with
Tiffany?
Taylor,
Where are you getting Tiffany now?
Last season, the cookout. So
See, I missed last season.
Go watch last season.
I know. Okay, again, you got to watch.
Xavier was a good player.
Again, you get to watch Breaking Bad. I'll watch Big Bird 23.
All right, we'll make that agreement right now. You heard it here, folks.
He has never seen Breaking Bad. Can you believe that? And he's not seen Better Call Saul. This man is always telling me about all the shows that he's watching, but he just never seen Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Come on. And I'm ready because we're recording this on Tuesday night, the series finale of Better Call Saul. And I'm so excited for this. And Steven's over here is like, what? I've never seen it. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, you're getting roasted, y'all.
Okay, that's my rant. That's my one rant. My one movie TV rant for the week.
He is right, though. I do need to see some of these shows. I've seen... He's the reason why, folks. I've been hooked on Euphoria. So, I mean, he's the reason why his article he wrote for Fwrd Axis, he's the reason why I got hooked on it. So, I will definitely check that out. Once this Big Brother season ends, I will have nothing to watch. So, I will definitely be binging Breaking Bad.
All right, Taylor Morals with Jasmine. Go ahead.
Yes. So Taylor's morals with Jasmine. Okay, I'm iffy on this. And if you guys follow me on Twitter, you will see that I've been iffy on this. Because two things. I do agree with you that morals are very rare in the Big Brother house. And referencing last season, Xavier had none of that. Because he won 9-0. He betrayed his best friend Kylan, who he made a final 2 with, and got him out at final 5 or 6. Okay, that's one. Or no, final 5. Final 5. Got him out of final 5. Then you had Dan, as you mentioned. Dan in Memphis had a final 2 from the beginning, but he lied to so many people, but he brought Dan to the end. He brought Memphis to the end.
Dan was cutthroat in 2 seasons because he pulls off the funeral without telling Danielle, and Danielle is breaking down crying, and then he comes saying he pretty much used that to his advantage. And turned on his alliance for his better man of his game. He was severely cutthroat in 2 seasons.
Exactly, and that is one thing that I kind of want to see from someone in this house this season. And getting back, I do agree. I understand where Taylor's coming from. I understand she has morals and values, and I completely respect her. And it's one of the reasons why I love her as a person. What we see on the show, as a housemate, as a character on the show, I love her. As a game player, though. That's where I have the issue. Because, let's be real. We said this on the spaces. We said this on this show before. Jasmine doesn't like her. Jasmine, Indy, Alyssa, Kyle, they really don't like her. And that is just the truth. They do not like this girl. So we go into this. And going into this, Ty, you had Taylor get her room, tell Indy and Alyssa when they were festy besties, I'm not putting you up. Well, your options are kind of limited because you're in an alliance with basically over half the house. And you don't want any of them to go home. And so her thought process was, let me put up a pawn, because her target is Terrence. Let me put up a pawn next to Terrence. She chooses, or thinks about putting Turner. And Turner's like, basically, what the F, in so many words. And be like, I literally saved your butt 3 weeks ago. And if it wasn't for me, you probably wouldn't even be here right now. And he says, I'm paraphrasing, but he says something like that in the diary room, so to speak. And then he's like, you know what? We see Taylor and well, that won't work. How about Monty and Turner? And we backdoor Terrence. And then Monty's like, you're trying to save me, right? What are you doing here? And so I don't agree with her thought process there. It was a very chaotic thing for her.
And I think luckily, I think with the diary room sessions that we got with that, I think it did show that she kind of realized, oh yeah, that's kind of dumb. And luckily, that's why you have an alliance members, because not only do you use it for numbers, you use it for advice. Because sometimes you might have this grandiose idea, and sometimes your ideas are not always going to be the best. I've never had I'm never perfect with my ideas. No one is perfect with their ideas. And she might have had a thought in her head that it's like, oh, this could be a mastermind 4D chess type play, when in actuality it was just kind of a little too complicated and too dumb. But I'm glad that, in the game aspect, I'm kind of glad that she kind of realized, yeah, that kind of does not line up. Yes, this is harder than it should be. This is harder than it appears. And I think everyone will get that at some point. But yeah, it was not the best show of her game, but I am glad that she has come around, though. That she eventually had a plan that was going to be much more effective and was actually going to go out with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and then I tweeted out, I was like, I love Taylor. But it got me wanting her to go home to jury, because I'll be honest, you're playing for $750,000 at the end of the day. Well, before taxes cut half of it out, probably. But I mean, you're paying for $750,000.
You're getting a lot of money. You're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes. Yes. You're getting money for sitting in a house for 2.5 months, eating food, plotting. And it's not really that much. It is hard work, but it's not like you're going and doing a lot of like a grueling thing here. I mean, it's so you get a lot of money to do this. In my opinion, morals don't belong in Big Brother. In my opinion. We've seen players who can play the game with morals, and they end up going home most of the time. Last season, Kylan played with honesty and morals. He would not sacrifice another member that he made a promise to over himself, and that ultimately led to his eviction. And he told Julie, like, I'm okay with it. I played the way I wanted to play. I understand I didn't win, but I'm okay with how I played. And if Taylor can walk out of that house and be like, you know what, I played to who I am as a person, I'm happy for her. But I'm just going to say, I don't think morals belong in this show. You're there to win a competition.
And I think it's something that's kind of wrong with the game at this moment. We've seen in the past that there's these cutthroat players that took no mercy when it came to game-wise. And honestly, some of those people didn't win. Look at Dan against Ian. Look at Vanessa, who Austin says straight up, I know this, that whole season's kind of on my mind because I was watching clips of it, but Austin said straight up that Vanessa was not going to win the jury because of her cutthroatness, and she was aware of that. And I don't think she would have won next to anyone else if it was Steve or Liz up there. And we saw Tyler not win it against Casey because he was fairly cutthroat. And I think that nowadays you're looking at these players, and they've already mentioned it, even in the pre-jury phase, that, oh, I'm trying to protect my jury vote. I'm trying to protect my jury vote here. I'm not going to make dumb promises. I'm not going to be too mean. I gotta be where. And I think Brittany and Taylor were talking about it today on the feeds that, oh yeah, we can't have our salty goodbye messages anymore. We gotta protect our jury votes. And I think that's an issue. I think that you're gonna find some players running into that they play it too. We saw people go on one extreme of be pure cutthroat, no mercy. Now I think we're going to see too many players be too nice, be too kind, and we might lose some drama out of that. And you're going to see some players that honestly could make it far, but might fall short because they were playing too nice at some point.
Yeah, I think so too. We remember, I don't know if you were watching it then, but Kyle's favorite player is Paul. Paul, the guy who lost twice. He
was cutthroat.
He was, but when it comes to being cutthroat, I think that comes down to bitter jurors. Is what I think it comes down to. Jurors that are bitter at how they got played by the person that we made it to the end. And I think that's just good gameplay, and they can't handle it. We saw that on the challenge this season. I didn't watch the challenge. Basically, like I said, last season, Xavier lied to his house guest, Alyssa, for 2.5 months. Said, I made the final 2 with you. It was never real. He cut her at the end. She voted for him to win, but on the challenge, she ended up getting him back and voting him out and doing that. So you see, it comes down a lot to bitterness. People don't really want to accept that they got played, and that's being just petty. The truth. Being petty. So with Taylor, I did tweet this. I don't think she has what it takes to be a good Big Brother player. I don't think she's a good person. I don't think she's a good game player, and those are two completely different things. And that was before everything that happened this week. If the veto Joseph had an idea, like, look, if the veto is going to be used, put me up. Put me up. I'll volunteer to go up. And if I go home, that's fine. And she was on board with that. And I'm thinking, you're on board with letting your own alliance member go home? Like, that's where I started to turn a little bit.
I like to say, because I think about this way too often, if I'm in the Big Brother house, I am not putting myself on the block as a pawn. We all know how this goes, and I'm not doing it. That's my number one rule going to Big Brother now. Do not volunteer as a pawn. For the love of God, do not do it.
So if you apply and you get on, we're not going to see you as a pawn.
I'm not going to go up as a pawn, as a willing pawn. We'll say that. And now if there's some weird twist that pretty much makes me go up as a pawn, as if this festy bestie twist, then I guess I'll do it. But I'm never going up as a willing pawn at all. And in my tenure as a Big Brother contestant, if that ever happens, I'm never doing it.
Okay, guys, you heard it here first. If Ty ever gets on Big Brother, he will not be a pawn.
If I do, call me the F out. I
will replay this podcast and what I would do. So we go through the nomination process with Taylor, and she seems to be set now. Well, okay, real quick, before we get to that, what we didn't see on the show was Brittany had to talk Taylor down for about 20 minutes, saying, these girls don't like you. Why are you trying to protect them? We didn't see that part. So that is the reason why she goes after Terrence and Indy. She goes for that. And Indy runs up to the HOH room, and she's like, hey, are we good? Like, what's going to happen? She's freaking out. She pretends like her and Taylor are best friends when they barely talk. And Taylor's like, look, sorry, but my hands are tied in so many words. Like, this is what I have to do. Now, Taylor's initial nominations were Terrence and Indy. Before we get to her speech, I need to know, do you think she made the right decision with those nominations, or do you think she should have just gone straight up Alyssa Indy?
Again, as long as you don't target, because again, this is before the Kyle stuff that we know of this week.
Yes.
This was the better plan, to go after two people that are not in your alliance, that are also have been on the opposite side of the house in terms of they've not been kind to you, they've not been nice to you, and they are not part of your alliance. So to put up both them makes sense. So to do that was the best course of action. And then to have a backdoor option for put Alyssa, that is I think that is the right plan for this situation. Going into this week of, you want your alliances, just stay strong and keep on pushing through. Don't put any of your alliance members in harm's way, especially whenever this is a normal week of Big Brother for once. Don't put your teammates in harm, and only target the people that you do not have any alliances ties to at all.
Right. Now, how much do you think Kyle situation with Alyssa, and you know what? Let's just say what happened. So, I mean, we're gonna get into this later on in Thursday, and we recap Thursday's episode anyways. But we're gonna get to a more in depth there. But we can just touch on it here for a second. We said spoilers were gonna be, on this show, and we're gonna stick to that. So, Kyle and Alyssa, they did the deed. They went to Pound Town.
Say that way. And also, would you even call it a Pound Town if it's on a floaty?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was on a floaty in the hangout room.
More like Squeak Town.
There's a meme
I'm proud of
Kyle.
I'm proud of that.
There's a meme of Kyle going, and like that was Kyle on the floaty.
Oh, on the I forgot what year it was, but it was where they had to they were in like the lemon and lime outfits, and they had to pretty much juice themselves.
Yeah.
I feel like that was that Big Brother 14? Was that 14? That was it was one of the middle seasons, but no, it made sense. It was a perfect meme.
Now, like I said, they went to Pound Town. They did the float, or Squeak Town. the floaty was deflated probably by the end of it. And I should mention, this is very, very important. And to people listening, if you don't want to listen to this part, I suggest you fast forward or cover your ears. Or if you need to put a certain rating on this, David, whenever you rate this podcast, I recommend you do. But so, David, you might want to edit this part too as well. It was period sex. She was
no, Gabe, you did not need to know that. No, I did not need to know that. I did not need to know that. I did not need to know that. No.
So
Why?
she was on her time of the month.
No, okay. Let's skip. I'm okay. I don't need to know any more of this.
Okay, so
I did not need to know any more of this. They did the deed. Apparently, he only went for 10 seconds, is what I saw. All right, I'm skipping. We're off Squeak Town.
Yeah, so that happened, right? So that happened. How much do you think that trip to Squeak Town affected Kyle's decision not to use the veto?
Oh my God! It's again. So he went going back to last week where he says, "Man, she's so hot and I'm so horny." He's like, "Yeah, you're letting your mind get away from you, and you're letting that direct your game." And that's what we've seen. To be serious here, he's gotten attached. He's gotten to the showmance part of this, and that showmance part is he has the worst kind of showmance with someone that's not in his alliance, in an alliance that is honestly running the house right now.
Do you think it's weighing down his decision making?
Yes, dramatically, because we already know. Again, this is spoilers. You guys know what you're here for. He won the veto, and we knew that Taylor was okay with backdooring Alyssa.
Right.
Now, and I think the lefters were already aware that, shit. Now we have to deal with Kyle winning this. Worst case scenario in terms of our own alliance member winning the veto. And I'm not sure. I think they communicated that, and they asked Kyle, "Are you going to be okay if we put a list up?" And I can't remember. Did he give them a straight answer, or was he kind of beating around the bush on that?
He was beating around the bush on it.
So, and that kind of gave them warning signs. And then by the time that we get to the veto ceremony on Tuesday, Taylor kind of knew what was going to happen, and she was pissed. Like you said, that she was staying up all night, and she was quite aware of what was going to happen. And he doesn't use the veto. It's because they know that they would have put Alyssa up if he saved either Terrence or Indy. And as a result, that just completely throws everything out the door for Taylor, because she had made a promise to Indy that she was just a pawn. Now, are we serious about this promise? Probably not. But that's going to haunt her at some point, depending on, like we were just talking about, protecting the jury vote.
Right.
But that comes back to bite her in the ass. And it just screws up all the plans. And now you do see this severance of the alliance kind of... This is a breaking point now. That this decision by Kyle to not use the veto, to not do what your alliance was planning in order to save your showmates that's not a part of the alliance, that's the breaking point. Now, I've talked about this. I'll put it right there, and I'll add my comments after what you guys say.
Okay. So I do agree. That it is clouding his decision-making. I mean, God's sakes, they did the pool floaty things. It's of course going to cloud his decision-making. But here's the thing. It feels like he chose her over the alliance, when I'm just going to be straight up with you. I don't think this lasts on the outside. I think as soon as they get out of the house, she's going to be like, all right, peace. Here's a guy with a six-pack. See you later. Like, that's exactly what she's going to do. And I mean, for right now, again, we're recording this on a Monday. It is currently August 15th. And before we started recording this podcast, or this episode, I should say, they made official that, I mean, I don't know how much more official it needs to be after what happened with the over there, but they made it official, and they became boyfriend and girlfriend. Kyle literally said it like this: "I'm Kyle. You know, I never done this before, man. Like, I don't know what to do." And then Alyssa's like, "You're 29 years old, man.
Oh, damn, I was gonna be Alyssa. I pulled up the tweet. All right, you play Kyle, I'll play Alyssa.
All right, wait. Now I gotta find the tweet myself. Hold on. All right.
All right,
it's live TV. Okay, hang on. Here we go. Kyle, I'm Kyle. I don't know what to do. I'm not good at these situations, Alyssa.
You're 29 years old. You need to figure it out. Now, that's not Alyssa voice, but I'm going to be as stern as possible.
Yes. Now, that happened. And then he asked her...
Oh, I don't have that tweet, so you just...
Do you?
Read it. No, I don't have it, so read it off.
Okay. So he asked her point blank, and it's... Oh, I have it here. So it's point blank, he asked her, like, and I want you to tell me what you think of this. So this is it. Alyssa, I don't want it to be close... Oh, no, let me go back here. Kyle says, if I get voted out next week, I don't want to date anyone. I will wait for you. Oh. I don't know. I know. I don't know what we are right now, but I think you're as close to a girlfriend as I think. So I hope you still like me.
Now, I will say, these are two people that are obviously have feelings for each other, and they both do not know how to communicate this, and they are afraid to say certain things on live television. I think that's kind of the reading of the room. Okay, so
it's like I'm watching two middle schoolers do this. So Alyssa goes, I don't want to be close to a girlfriend. Kyle then goes, do you want to be my girlfriend? Alyssa.
Okay. I need this cringe fest to stop. We've got the message. This is the second time I'm stopping.
Well, wait. I just need to say Alyssa's response.
Oh, no.
She didn't go, oh, yes, or yeah. She went, mm-hmm. Not yes, uh-huh, mm-hmm. I think we lost Ty, folks. No. And then he asked her again, and she says, mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then and he goes, okay, then.
Okay. So two things. One, I know I should not feel bad for this guy with some of the comments that he's made already. But man, you're 29 years old, and I just feel so bad for you. Yikes. Like, he is that desperate, and I feel extremely bad. Kyle, you could do better. And two, I think you could possibly find a better influence. But
yeah.
And you blew up your whole...
Pretty. Alyssa is pretty, I will say that.
And you pretty much blew up your whole game. A chance at 750,000 for a woman that would just say, mm-hmm, to your question of, do you want to be my partner in this game? Now, the jury house, because at some point these two are going to see each other in the jury house.
Yes.
I think that's going to be the make or break session of all of this.
Yes. Now, whenever they do go to jury, hide the pool floaties, hide everything.
Well, they won't need a pool floaty at that point.
Maybe they want to do it. I don't know. Maybe he wants to recreate his first time.
Okay.
All right. No, but for real though. For real. No, but just to add what you said one more time, you're throwing your game away for a woman that will more than likely leave you on the outside, right? Mm-hmm. You're throwing your game away for someone that goes, mm-hmm, to your question.
Mm-hmm.
And for 10 seconds on a pool floaty. Is it really worth it? Is it really worth it to throw your game away for someone like that? Let's just be real here.
Now, I get it. You're in this house 24/7. And
right.
I think they said it on a live feed where I caught it, where it's like, what normally would be like a second or third date, the amount of time that it would take there would probably be days to weeks. Right. Well, in the Big Brother house, you're probably experiencing about the 10 dates in the span of maybe a few days, because you're that close, you're that intimate with each other, and for that period of time locked inside a house. So it makes sense that feelings will develop quickly, because it's pretty much a fast track of you're spending a lot of time together and more time than you normally would on the outside. So it makes sense that feelings can develop. But man, Kyle said it himself. Man, this horny's going to affect my game. And it obviously has. I gave him kudos for being self-aware. But man, he's not self-aware enough to stop himself.
True.
So
I could make another floaty joke, but we made enough for this episode. So we're gonna
I don't want this. We are going to get limited on YouTube by this. On the podcast apps, it won't matter, but YouTube, like, come on, man. We're going to get struck down. We are not going to be ad suitable for this.
Now, getting off of this for 1 second, or for maybe three more or four, however it lasted. We're gonna go now to the Taylor nominations. Taylor's nomination speech. Now, her nomination speech, I think, was pretty good. I think her nomination was pretty good. She had a little spunk with her. She looked good in what she was wearing. She made her speech. She told both of them in so many words, hey, I think both of you have a good chance to go win the veto, fight for your life. I have a very good target in mind. And she looked right at Monty when she said it for dramatic effect. And it was more of the diary room session afterwards when Terrence was like, hey, I thought me and Taylor had a good relationship. I'm thinking the same Taylor that you were putting down, the same Taylor that you were saying her private parts were hanging out of her, or were that whenever she was drinking that she shouldn't be wearing a bikini because guys get the wrong impression because she's showing cleavage. That Terrence, that Taylor, really?
But also, this is coming from the same side that was not aware enough to see that there was a 7-person alliance going against them. I don't think self-awareness is a high attribute for the remaining people that outside of the leftover 7-man alliance, because 1, you're not aware that the alliance was happening and pretty much running the house. 2, you are not self-aware to understand what kind of behavior that you put Taylor through, along with the multiple times that Turner brought it up in speeches, other aspects that people have talked about, Taylor herself bringing it up. How can you not be self-aware to understand, yeah, you probably messed up. You probably were not behaving as well as you should have been. And honestly, if they said they apologized for it and they kind of fessed up and said, yeah, I kind of realized I did not treat her the best, I would give them this pass. I would let them know that they made a mistake and they learned from it. But they obviously have not. And that is just, one, it hurts to see that adults just can't notice faults like that. And 2, they are not willing to admit it. If you're in life, you are going to make mistakes. You might bully someone and not realize it. And Julie Chen even said in an interview that you mentioned within the article on Fwrd Axis that microaggressions happen and people might not be aware of it. And that is completely true. That completely happens. But the thing is, how do you respond after you find out that, yeah, you probably weren't wording things right. You were probably being a bit tad aggressive. You apologize, you admit your fault, and then you learn from it. But if you're not even willing to admit that you did it or be self-aware to realize that, you are not going to get anywhere in life or even in just a game of being a damn person, because that just makes you a bad person if you're not going to learn your mistakes and just say, I thought I had a good relationship. That's it. You obviously didn't. So what are you going to do to fix that?
We're getting a round of applause sound effect for that because that was pretty good. That really was good. I mean, seriously. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. And then for Terrence to go to the diary room before her the HOH room before her nominations and be like, I've always been straight with you. But I'm thinking, she knows you're lying. She knows you're lying. And Terrence, okay, he's an older man. He may not have seen the show or whatever, but lying is very simple. You know you're lying about this girl. She more than likely knows, because as you said, you're not living in a big house. It's very small. People are going to talk. It's going to get back to her, which obviously it did.
Obviously, we know that people talk. Look at Turner. Talking about. Sorry to come back to that. You said that, and I thought I just had to bring that up. Yeah. But yes, people talk. So if you can't be aware of that, someone has probably mentioned to you that you probably said that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, I mean, going back to her speech, though, her speech I think was pretty good. It got the job done. But what did you make? Did you like her speech?
Yeah, like honestly, I'm having a hard time remembering exactly what the speech was, because I know that she said that there was bigger targets, which honestly she likes to kind of put stuff out there. It's like, come on, I'm giving you bait. You should take this. You should know what's going on, but you're not going to take it. But like knowing how Taylor is, knowing it, the person that she has acted, at least where she does have some spice to her, but she still has some. It's not humility that I'm thinking. She's very forgiving in that aspect. Like, especially with the Jasmine, with the Jasmine stuff, where Jasmine can trash talk her all day, but she is going to stand by her morals first off, and then she's going to learn how to forgive.
Yeah.
Like, especially with Nicole.
Mm-hmm. I think, I'm not sure if I brought that up or you brought that up in the last episode, but yeah, you're right. And she still forgave her. She still forgave Nicole, even though Nicole treated her very badly, very poorly. She still treated her, pretty bad, but she forgave her. Last thing before we head out for this one, I just need to get your thoughts on this. I just sent you a meme a photo of tonight.
I saw it.
And that is our next topic, our final topic for the night. I figure we could just go in order of game stuff first and then close out with the fun stuff. This will be the Jailer segment we saw on the show. We've seen them hanging out on feeds. We've seen them hanging out on the show. We see them hanging out in that picture because they are going to be tethered together.
First off, we got it. We had a second Jailer tease. I guess unless I missed a segment, I think there was a segment that legitimately had Taylor and Joseph. But then we had a second tease of, at the end of the night, I'm having such a good time. This is Joseph, by the way, in the diary room. And I get my warm sheets to put on the bed. And honestly, I love how production did that. I love the tease because they know that everyone will eat that stuff up, only for it to turn into India's scary. To India's scary segment, and probably some of the hardest I've laughed so far this season is him trying to make the bed while being quiet and try not to wake up Indy.
Now, with Indy, how can for the ones listening to this podcast, you can't see this, but how can you sleep like this?
Blindfolded.
How can you sleep? How? I can't. Oh my God, no.
For me, I do know that I am very picky when it comes to my sleep. I need darkness, and sometimes I need something that's not intrusive noise. Like I do thunderstorm sounds at night because that's how I fall asleep. But I need darkness, so the blindfold pretty much plays that aspect. Some people can be okay with the tightness around their head, but it's the darkness with all those bright studio lights on you. It makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I thought that was interesting. I was like, I can't see what I'm that tight on my face, but no.
But honestly, the effect of her having the blindfold on, and obviously being awake at the end of all of this, of her telling, just put the pillow in the pillow sheet already. You didn't think she was awake, but she was this whole time.
Yeah. Oh, she's gonna have some fun in jury if she ends up going. But so here's the thing. Like I said, we're gonna close this episode out with the Jailer talk. Joseph and Taylor, or Jailer. What do you make of this potential couple? I mean, we as we mentioned a few shows ago, Taylor has admitted she has some feelings for him. She thinks he's attractive. She has a little crush on him. Apparently, according to you, Joseph has an X on the outside, so X means he's available. They had this fake showmance going on to protect Taylor and all that. But what do you think? Do you think that these two are, possibly moving towards that feelings direction? And I asked that because last night, as I said on our spaces, and I'll say it again here, Taylor was crying, or close to crying at least. She was upset outside last night. The first one to come out was Joseph, and her comment to Joseph was, "It's always you. I can always count on you." So what do you think?
I feel like I've said this before, either on the podcast or you before we start recording or after we recorded. The showmance between those two feels much more genuine, much more real. It's not like the other showmance, which is pretty damn horny. Let's be honest. That showmance is really much hornier than this. Between these two is very much like it's not to an unconditional love, but it's kind of there. It's kind of getting to that point where, Joseph is going to be an emotional support for Taylor no matter what happens. And they seem to have fun. They seem to not need to be all kissy, lovey-dovey on that. They genuinely have a good connection with each other. And honestly, I would not be surprised if that was a final two. Or a final two deal at some point, or something that just a duo that kind of sticks together throughout the whole game. Honestly, if you're Joseph, you kind of want Taylor because Taylor can still be strong in comps from obviously with the endurance, and she has pretty solid social game with the rest of the alliance members outside of all that. So once you get there, you kind of want someone to be on your side, and Taylor could be someone that could go far. And honestly, if I'm Joseph's perspective, I'm looking at guys like Monty and Michael as big threats, and you need a side. So as a game, it's something that duo that should stay together, and two, they just have a genuine connection. Those two obviously enjoy being together. They hold each other up in aspects, and just there's a genuine concern and want to make sure that she is okay from Joseph's perspective. So I think there's something real there. And I think they're both smart enough that they won't let that get in the way of their games, unlike what we were seeing with Kyle and Alyssa.
Yeah, I think so too. I would love to see a final three between Monty, Joseph, and Taylor, because those are the only three that I think are going to be tolerable moving forward from this Leftovers Alliance as we move into this week, into this twist, which, again, if you have not heard our thoughts on the twist, go listen to our last episode. We lay it all out there. But yeah, so that is Sunday's episode in a nutshell. And of course, everything else in between when it came to what else happened in the house.
So hold on. What we missed though. The thing that started all of this, and we went off in a whole direction, is their punishment for the last video where they get tied together. And honestly, go find it. They're dressed in, I guess it was a music fest type thing. They're both in leather jackets and wigs. They look cute. They look cute together. Let's be honest.
Yep, they do.
Now, I don't think Taylor is driving with this look, and wouldn't blame her.
No.
But Joseph is rocking it.
Joseph
is rocking it.
Yeah, he's got the look down. Taylor's like, I don't think Taylor's feeling the wig, but I mean, other than that, like, I think they look good. It's a cute look, and let's see Michael and that group try to get them out of the HOH room this time, because you can't. They're tethered together for the next 48 hours. So we'll see what happens. But anything before we close out this episode, Ty? Any final thoughts on Sunday's episode? On what else is going on in the house over the course of this week?
So again, in relation to the Kyle stuff, make sure to go listen to our space. There's a lot of talk on that aspect and what we thought on that. So I think that's very important. I know that we didn't really address it in this episode because, again, we talked about for 45 minutes. So if you want to see our feelings and thoughts on that, go check out the Twitter space. But I'm really, I think this week is kind of wrapped up. I'm not sure who would be exactly going home between Indy and Terrence at this point. But I think that's going to be making it interesting going into eviction night. But overall, I'm excited for Thursday because, actually, no, I'm excited for Wednesday because I want to see Taylor's blow up. And I'm really hoping we get on Wednesday. I do not want to wait for Thursday. I do not want to wait another day to see this. I'm hoping that they kind of stretch out Wednesday's episode just a little bit after the veto ceremony. Yep. But Thursday is going to be exciting. I'm excited to see how this twist is going to happen. And again, I said this in the space. This twist could be a changing of the guard in terms of the power dynamics, the alliances. It can shake up the whole house, and I'm so here for it.
Before I close this out, you did say you don't know who goes between Indy and Terrence. Do you have a preference?
I think Indy. I think Terrence. I do. There's some like feed stuff that I enjoy with Terrence overall. Like there's some funny feed stuff that I've seen him do, and also it just kind of. I kind of want to see him kind of keep floating because we usually his stereotype in terms of casting, which is like the older guy in the house. He's going farther than most of them, and at least in recent seasons, I kind of want to see how far he gets on floating along. I'm kind of curious.
Cool. All right. Well, I agree. I personally don't have any preference. I can't stand either of them, so whoever goes. So I'm kind of like Taylor in that sense. But yeah, so again, we may or may not touch on the Kyle thing again. We did it for, as you said, 45 plus minutes on the Spaces. It will be uploaded to our site, to FwrdAxis.com. It will be available wherever you get your podcast. Go listen to that. It's a very lengthy discussion. We had callers calling in, people commenting on what was going on inside the house. It's a very important discussion considering the climate that we're in right now. So please go ahead and listen to that. But yeah, that is our wrap up for this episode of Fwrd Axis Live. I want to thank David Bradford, who is our producer, and for mixing this episode, and my co-founder for mixing this episode up and editing it. Ty, thank you, my friend. And again, you guys can follow Ty on Twitter at the Ty Jäger on all of his social media platforms. You can follow me on Twitter at the Stephen A for your entertainment news across the world. in politics when it comes to President Biden and all the drama surrounding Donald Trump and everything like that over on Steven Reports. So you guys can follow me there as well.
You're having so much fun. You're having so much fun just trying to keep up with all that because I'm falling behind.
I am. It's a job. It's a job in itself. So yeah, you guys can follow me there and look for me on Twitter. I got a lot of opinions on Big Brother, as Kai, you know very well. So you guys can follow me there as well. But for David Bradford, for Ty Jäger, I'm Stephen Michael saying good night from the Fwrd Axis studios, and thank you for listening to Fwrd Axis Live, where the news is always fair and balanced. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
All right, perfect. 1 hour.
Thank you for joining Fwrd Axis Live. Hear this episode and more wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit www.fwrdaxis.com to get the latest news happening in our world today. Follow us on Twitter at Fwrd Axis Live